Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad-vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvāmanusandadhāmi Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramo Panishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Read from verse 33 on the page 37. Sadrusham cheshtate swasyaha prakriter jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani Nigrahah kinkarishyate Indriyasya indriyasyarthe Raga dvesha vyavasthito Tayor navashamagached Tauhyasya paripanthino Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha Paradharmat swanushthitat Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha Paradharmo bhayavaha. Sadrusham chestate swasyaha prakrutehe. Swasyaha prakrutehe sadrusham chestate. The beings follow their prakriti, their nature, Jnanavanapi, even a person who may be learned person, that person also follows this Prakriti or the nature. Lord Krishna will explain what is meant by nature in the next verse. Prakritim yanti bhutani. Usually people are controlled by their nature. Nigraha kim karishyati. What can restrain do? Meaning that sometimes the compulsion or the force of Prakriti nature is so strong that you cannot even restrain is not possible. Lord Krishna is talking about those whose behavior is impulsive. Impulsive behavior arises. Impulse arises. So what Prakriti is meant? Impulse. So people follow their impulses. And very often the impulses are so strong that restraint cannot do. Even though one knows that what one is about to do is going to be harmful, sometimes it becomes clear that this is wrong for me, this is not, I should not be doing this. But the impulse is so strong that on the face of this knowledge also, one winds up doing anyway. Here Lord Krishna shows the helplessness of the people. That most people are helpless and they are controlled by their nature or controlled by their impulses. So what is meant by nature or what is meant by these impulses? In the next verse, Lord Krishna says, Indriyasyarthe raga dvesha vyavasthitau. Here Arjuna, with reference to all the sense objects, the raga and dvesha, attachment and aversions, they're always obtained. Vyavasthitau, exist, meaning that we are born with a tendency to display raga and dvesha. Our behavior is usually controlled by raga, attachment, dvesha, aversion. Where, as we described, raga or attachment is that when I feel that I cannot do without something. Something becomes very important for my sense of well-being or for my sense of security. Something is so important that I just cannot do without that. And therefore, I totally become dependent upon that. Basically, what I want is my well-being. But if I look upon something as a means of my well-being, then that also becomes very important to me. So when something thus becomes very important for my sense of comfort, sense of well-being, for my happiness, then I cannot do without it. I must have it at any cost. I must acquire it. I must possess it. I must experience it. Then only I feel good. Otherwise I do not feel good. In presence of which or experience of which I feel good, and in absence of which I feel bad or unhappy or sad. That kind of a relationship is called raga or attachment, in which there is a helplessness. Person becomes helpless in the pull or push of this raga or attachment, that I just cannot control myself. I must have it. So there is raga. With reference to all sense organs, there are the sense objects, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha, the sound and the touch, and the form, and the taste and the smell. Just examples. So these are the objects of senses. And there are many other objects. They also include all the objects of emotion or even the objects of ego, such as the power and fame and wealth, etc. When these things are, for whatever reason, looked upon as a source of happiness or security, and this also happens because within myself I feel so insecure or so unhappy that it just becomes necessary for me to have something which can make me feel happy or secure. And then in that state of mind, I look upon something as source of happiness, security, and therefore I become dependent upon that. So Lord Krishna says that for most people, the way they relate to the world is in this manner of attachment, and when there is attachment, then it is also accompanied with, like this two sides of a coin, there is going to be an aversion also. When this is very important to me, then anything that threatens its acquisition becomes an object of aversion. And so this verse says that usually people, they act out of their impulses of raga and dvesha, or attachment and aversion. This is how, with this tendency we are born. Raga dvesha vyavasthito. We are born with this tendency. Ichcha dvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharata sarvabhutani kaunteya sarge yanti. So hey Kaunteya, right from the beginning, right from the creation, this ichcha and dvesha, raga and dvesha are built into the mind, and they are the impellers of all activities. So this is all activities essentially are performed as impelled by attachments and aversions. Lord Krishna says, Tayorna vashamagached. Here, Arjuna, you should not come under their sway. Meaning, because whatever you do as compelled by raga dvesha is going to be damaging. Whatever you do out of attachment. Because attachment is, I see a great value to something which is a projection of my mind, understand? When I look upon something as a source of happiness, it is my subjective viewpoint. Because there is no one thing that can be called a source of happiness, because that would be the case for everybody. But this gives me happiness. So I look upon that as an object of happiness. This is my subjective viewpoint. Vedanta would say it is shobhanadhyasa, superimposition. Shobhanabhyasa, ramaniyatva. Meaning that I superimpose the value, happiness, beauty which is not there, I superimpose upon that. And then I want it. So this desire for something is preceded by this superimposition, that this is a source of happiness. That's what my mind does. Or this is a source of sorrow. That's also what the mind does. So when something is looked upon as source of unhappiness, I naturally hate it, because basically I hate unhappiness. And therefore, whatever is looked upon as source of unhappiness also becomes an object of hatred. So usually ignorant people act like this. And they don't know any better. But Arjuna is being told, a mumuksha is being told that moksha is your goal. Freedom is your goal. So these are the indications of bondage. So how does bondage manifest in our life? Is raga and dvesha. Those things that compel me, I feel compelled. When that impulse of raga arises, then I feel compelled to fulfill it. When dvesha arises, I feel compelled. So this inner compulsion that we feel is the sign of bondage. So ignorance or bondage manifests in the form of raga dvesha. So these are the tangible manifestations of ignorance. Ignorance is something very subtle. And ignorance brings about this raga and dvesha, which are the tangible or manifest expressions of ignorance or bondage. Therefore, tayorna vasam agached. Here, Arjuna, you should not come under the sway. Meaning that if you come under control of this pressure of raga dvesha, then you are perpetuating bondage, understand? Because bondage or dependence manifests as raga dvesha. So raga, both are impulses. What is called an impulse? Impulse means that which impels me to do something. Impulse is that in the face of which I become helpless. So both raga and dvesha are the signs of the helplessness. And helplessness alone is bondage, is alone unhappiness. Tayo vasham nagacche, Arjuna, you should not submit to the compulsion of raga and dvesha. Even if it arises, know that, again it will say later, it will know that to be your enemy. It says, Tau yasya paripantino. Know that these two are enemies. They are enemies for whom? For a mumukshu, not for everybody. For a worldly person, raga dveshas may be in fact beneficial because it impels him to do things. People in fact get their motivation, the drive to do things because of raga dvesha. No raga dvesha, no drive. But this is said for a mumukshu, meaning one who wants freedom, one who wants to become free from the sense of helplessness, who recognizes that I feel helplessness, I want to become free from that. The Lord Krishna says these raga dveshas are the entities that make you helpless. And therefore do not come under that sway. So yasya paripantino. For a mumukshu, these are the enemies, not for everybody. Desire is not an enemy for everybody. So without desire, how nothing can be accomplished? The world will not function without the desire. That is true. You need ambition in life to have a drive to achieve something. But here a mumukshu is being addressed, that we should know this. A desire is an enemy of whom? For one who wants freedom. Because desire is a mark of bondage. But one who has not yet discovered value of that freedom, one still who has value only for the worldly accomplishment, for him desire is not an enemy. When I value for wealth and fame and then I say I want to give up desire, then what can... So then this value remains and then action doesn't remain, that doesn't work. Action is performed as prompted by desire. So desire is not enemy for everybody. For a samsara, it is enemy for everybody. But for a samsara, it looks like it's a friend. Because it doesn't know any better. And it's not mature enough to recognize that I am hurting myself. Now these raga dveshas, in case of Arjuna, and since Lord Krishna is teaching Dharma in Bhagavad Gita, how do these raga dveshas manifest themselves with reference to Dharma or Kartavya or duty? So one of the most emphatic point in the Bhagavad Gita is Dharma or the duty. Karmanyavadikaraste, that karma means dharma or the duty, that it is your responsibility to perform your duty. So with reference to duty, how does those raga dveshas work? They work with reference to all attachment, attractions, etc., but with reference to doing what I need to do. How do these raga dvesha or attachment and aversion influence me with reference to what is right to do? So Lord Krishna said, Shreyan swadharmo viguna paradharmat swanushtita. Bhashyakara explains here that under the influence of raga dvesha, one wants to give up one's own duty and wants to take up duty of someone else. This is typically for Arjuna, that he wants to give a duty as a Kshatriya, and his duty is to confront adharma. We should emphasize that to fight is not the duty of Arjuna. To confront adharma is the duty of Arjuna. So they are not fighters, we can call them fighters. But then they don't fight for the sake of fighting. They fight for the sake of a cause. And dharma is the cause. So Arjuna is a Kshatriya who is wedded to protecting Dharma. That is how his nature is. He just cannot stand adharma. He cannot stand injustice. A Brahmana will keep away injustice and they'll take care of themselves. He will pray. A Kshatriya will plunge into that. He won't allow that. It's a Kshatriya. That is the kind of nature he has. His blood boils when he sees injustice. And so, the Kshatriya is the one who fights for justice. So to fight is not the duty of Arjuna, but then to protect Dharma is the duty of Arjuna. Understand this. Even when Lord Krishna says, Tasmad Yudhyasva Bharata, He Bharata, therefore you arise and fight, that fight means do your duty. So this is Arjuna's duty, to confront the forces of adharma. What does Raga dvesha do? Raga dvesha create attraction for paradharma, for what is not his dharma. Raga dvesha creates aversion for his own duty and attachment for someone else's duty. That's how Raga dveshas work, with reference to dharma, with reference to what is right and what is convenient. The Raga dveshas create dvesha for what is right and raga for what is convenient. For Arjuna, what is right is to confront and therefore fight the battle. But that Raga dvesha created dvesha for what he has to do, what is right. How did it create? He says this is himsa. His Raga dvesha changed his mind, changed his perception, and what is dharma appears to him to be adharma. So it is true. It's a matter of viewpoint as to what this Yuddha battle represents. Whether it is a force of dharma against adharma, which is for Pandavas against Kauravas. What is it? It's not battle between Pandava and Kauravas. It's battle between dharma and adharma. Unfortunately, ragadveshas, his attachment for the Kauravas, attachment for his cousins, created in him the dvesha for this battle. Understand? When he says, Nachashrayo nupashyami, I do not see any good coming out of this battle. Swajanami katham hatva sukhinasya madhava. Hey Madhava, how can we be happy killing our own people, killing our relatives and near and dear ones, killing them? How can we be happy? So his view is changed. From adharma, they become Kauravas. See? So they are Kauravas. They are not Pandavas, Kauravas. They are dharma and adharma. Pandavas cannot fight against Kauravas. That would be a different situation. If Arjuna remains Arjuna and then fights against Duryodhana, then there is some enmity involved there. And then he will be only prompted by anger or a desire to take revenge. No, this is not for taking revenge. Ideally, this battle in Kurukshetra is not for taking revenge, even though that is what created the situation. That Pandavas were always dealt with injustice. And this is to seek justice, etc. Not for themselves. Here the cause is very noble, otherwise this battle cannot be justified. If it's only for their personal agenda of getting their kingdom back, then that cannot be called dharma. This is very high ideal here is to protect righteousness. So Arjuna supposedly is on this part of dharma and is fighting against the force of adharma. But Ragadvesha stunned his perception. And he looks upon them as Kaurava and himself as Pandava. Then Kaurava, Swajana, they are my near and dear ones. And certainly killing them is unjustified. It would be himsa. If while throwing the arrows in his mind, the idea is that this is Duryodhana, I am killing him, that would be himsa. If while sending the arrow in his mind, the idea is I am Dharma and Adharma, then it is duty. That's why Lord Krishna said, Sukha dukkhe same krutva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddha yujjasva. First of all, making your mind, gaining that samatvam or sameness in your mind with reference to victory and defeat. You are not fighting for victory. Meaning that you are fighting dharma yuddha. If it means victory, well, defeat, equally okay. It is therefore the righteousness of action that determines what it is and not the attainment of the outcome. Jaya Jaya Same Krutva. May you look upon Jaya, the victory, Ajaya as defeat, as equal. What is meant by equal is that I am equally prepared to accept them. That's called Prasad Buddhi. If Vijaya comes, it is grace of Lord. Parajaya comes, grace of Ishvara. Labha alabha. Victory means a great gain, defeat means great loss, equal. Sukha dukkhe, victory means gain, means sukha happiness, defeat means loss, unhappiness, equal. This is a tall order, understand, all this is a very tall order. But if ideally Arjuna only performs his duty with this frame of mind. And that's what Lord Krishna means, saying that ma phaleshu kadachana, that you have no adhikara with reference to phala, means that be even-minded with reference to the phala. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Be even-minded towards siddhi, the success, asiddhi, failure. That even-mindedness, meaning you are not doing something for success. You are not avoiding something for failure. You are doing something that is right to do. What is convenient? I fight for success. What is convenient? I want to avoid failure. That's convenient. What is right? Success or failure? This is the right thing to do. Ideally, a Kshatriya is motivated by doing what is right. Arjuna slipped from that because of this delusion, moha, that he now looks upon them as Kaurava, himself as Pandava. And therefore, naturally, there is attachment because they are my people. And if that attachment is not there, then he is insensitive. Arjuna is a sensitive person. And so when he sees there his friends and cousins, naturally his heart, pains. How can I kill them? So, from one standpoint, what Arjuna says is right. From what standpoint? By Raga dvesha. See how Raga dvesha turned his perception from Adharma to Kaurava, from Dharma to Pandava. And therefore, now there is aversion for this battle, naturally, because it is himsa. How can I, killing of my relatives? That cannot be justified. So that is why this verse is said after Raga dvesha, Shreyan Swadharmo. That is why in Arjuna's mind arose the attraction for giving up this action. And you can give up this duty only when you become a sannyasi. You can't do it. Therefore, attraction for sannyasa dharma. And aversion for kshatriya dharma, for fighting the battle. So Raga dvesha, this decision on the part of Arjuna, that I will not fight this battle, is prompted by Raga dvesha. See, Shankaracharya's thing, is very clear, very consistent from beginning to end. Because after Raga dvesha, this verse is told, understand? Swadharma is better than paradharma. Paradharma means dharma of another one. In case of Arjuna, Swadharma is Kshatriya dharma, but in sannyasa is Brahmana dharma really. So some people insist that he must be Brahmana by birth for a sannyasi. At least we can say he must be Brahmana by disposition for being a sannyasi. That much concession will give them. He is not Brahmana by birth, nor is he Brahmana by disposition right now. He is Kshatriya by birth and Kshatriya by disposition. Therefore, he should have attraction for his own dharma. But no, he wants to be a sannyasi, wants to be Brahmana, and there is attachment for that. Because aversion for this creates attachment for something. Either attachment for this creates aversion for something, or aversion for something creates attachment for something else. In case of Arjuna, aversion for what he has to do creates attachment for what appears to be convenient. So convenient and right. Same conflict. Doing what is right versus what is convenient. What is convenient? Leave the battlefield. Avoid the conflict. And go into a solitude. You are free from all these stresses and strains. Meditate. Realize. So attraction for that. But whether or not, so Lord Krishna says that you feel that if you become a sannyasi, you will meditate and you will gain the knowledge and therefore you can do that better. That's what you think right now. It won't happen. Because doing that, it is not simply going into forest, is not an action. Retirement, it's an action for us, but it should be really a transformation of mind. People say, I want to retire. You want to retire, but have you become retired in your mind or not? If mind is active, then becoming retired is miserable. You don't know what to do. So when there is forced retirement, as in like India, that you are 58 or 60 years old retire, people become crazy. A lot of problems are there. In the US also it was 65 years in those days, retirement. When I came back, there was no 65. Why? It's discrimination. By age, you can't discriminate. Swadharme nidhanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. So Arjuna, you think that you cannot perform your duty well because it involves violence. You can perform that duty better because it involves solitude and quietude and meditation. Even though it may look like that to you from where you are right now, the grass may look greener yonder. Bhayavaha, but then it is fraught with fear. We discussed this last time. This is the specific case of Arjuna. How can we interpret that for ourselves? Well, Swadharma, Swa can be, Swa is the Atma, the self. Swadharma is a conduct which is in keeping with the nature of the self. What's the nature of self? The order obtaining in the universe, the order of Dharma. And the ever following Dharma or following values would be called Swadharma. In a given situation, if you cannot decide what to do, then ask what kind of an action on your part will be in keeping with Dharma, keeping with values. So therefore, for us to make choices who are not in position of Arjuna, but still a choice is to be made in every situation. Even Arjuna does not have a choice in determining what to do, by the way. He is in a position, he has to fight, no choice. So faculty of choice is not to be exercised in choosing what to do, what not to do. Arjuna wanted to exercise that way. I am free to choose, I will not fight. Lord Krishna says no. Now where is the choice? Choice is in determining the attitude. then you have to do this right, do it with the right attitude. And that right attitude will require him to keep under control his impulse of raga, dvesha, otherwise right attitude will not come. When he submits himself to impulse of raga, dvesha, the wrong attitudes came. For us also. When we make a decision in a given situation, whenever prompted by raga, dvesha, it will be wrong. Wrong morally. And wrong spiritually. May not be wrong in the material world. May be right. You must have a killer instinct, Swamiji. Then only you can succeed. So, worldly success may require something else. These rules may not apply there. So we cannot just literally translate rules. A given rule applies with a given disposition of mind and given set of values. If my value is only wealth and power, then these things won't work. Then you have to drive yourself, and raga dveshas are required. Desire is required. No desire, then that's a problem. When you come to these classes and they all the time Swamis talk about desire and give up desire. If you do that, you can't function in the world. Desire is a motivating primary force to drive you to achieve your goal. I don't care for the goal, then you will be thrown out. In this world which is only goal oriented, you cannot function if you don't join them. Anyway, the point is, you can function and you can do what others are doing. We already discussed this. You can keep your own values and still function with the same enthusiasm. You don't need the drive, you need the enthusiasm and commitment to do things. So, for us, Swadharma is a dharma, the values which are in keeping with the nature of Atma, the self. And amanitvam, adabhitvam, all the values are based on the nature of self. To follow them would be the Swadharma. But following value is always painful because it is short-term pain. There is a long-term gain, but short-term pain. Humility is painful. Forgiveness is painful. Kindness is painful because I have to let go of something which is attractive to me. For doing what is right, attachment and aversion must be given up. Therefore, in every situation, these two forces try to control me. One is the force of attachment and aversion, other is the force of what is right, namely values. Usually the sound of value is very feeble. Somebody tells me, Swami, this is not right, speak truth, but very feeble voice. Raga dvesha's voice is very loud. Hey, hit him, give him. So, usually that is why more often than not, the values get compromised because they are very feeble. Their values is not recognized. Value is not assimilated. Whereas this value of the material things is all well recognized, well assimilated. So the Puja Swami would say, the conflict between assimilated value and unassimilated value, assimilated value will win. All worldly values are assimilated. I know what money can bring me, I know what power can bring me, I know what fame, how wonderful it is, I know that. Or I think I know that. What can humility do? What can forgiveness do? What can honesty do? I don't know. So, I have not done my homework. That requires homework. To work out what does honesty mean to me. Why do they say honesty is best policy? In what way is it best policy? How there is a moral gain and a spiritual gain. Where there is material loss, there is a moral or spiritual gain. The material loss is something tangible, so we know what we have to lose. And the moral gain is not tangible, so we may not be able to weigh them properly. But when you realize that the moral loss is a big loss and material gain is not a gain at all because it doesn't do anything to me. I mean, I can have $1,000,000 in front of me, but I am sad. What can I do with it? Swamiji, we build houses, big houses, and only our friends enjoy them. We are not there to enjoy. When I am also here, I am sitting in the house, my mind is somewhere else. To enjoy something, we require also the mind, the capacity in the mind to enjoy it. And that's what these things give. Following the values and right attitudes give us the disposition of mind which gains an ability to enjoy things. But Swamiji, things won't be there. If you follow this, you won't get anything, you won't make money. So either you settle for things for enjoyment and give up the capacity of enjoyment, or you gain capacity of enjoyment and give up things for enjoyment. But then Vedanta will say that everything is a source of enjoyment. You don't need a particular thing. So this is a particular kind of ice cream. It's good. But if your mind is in the right disposition, anything can be enjoyed. Even chapati also can be enjoyed. It's not chapati you are enjoying, it's your mind that you are enjoying, understand? Ice cream gives me that mind, enjoyable mind. That is why I enjoy ice cream. Ice cream creates in me an enjoyable disposition of mind. If it does not create, I can't enjoy ice cream. No, Swami, my stomach is not doing well. No, this ice cream I cannot eat, it contains eggs. Something like that. So your mind dismisses it. So to enjoy something, we require a counterpart, which is what? A mind that enjoys an enjoyable disposition. If that is there, then anything is enjoyable. So when you get a mind which has a capacity to enjoy, you don't need any specific things to enjoy because everything becomes enjoyable. Asti bhati prem is everywhere, isn't it? That priyam is everywhere, in every little thing. So more capacity I cultivate in myself to contact that priyam, which is present everywhere, more everything becomes enjoyable. There's less need of any particular things. So ultimately there is no loss. But we think that I will lose out into my house. I won't have that big a house. I won't have this. Then how can I be happy? They can make you happy first by creating a mind, capacity to enjoy. Therefore, there is no guarantee that a given thing will make me happy. If it doesn't create that frame of mind, I can't enjoy it. Understand this. What I enjoy is my mind. What we enjoy is a given disposition of mind, which is free from raga dveshas. And if a thing is able to do that, that becomes an object of enjoyment through creating that enjoyable mind. Understand? So following values is to create that enjoyable mind directly rather than going through that. Even normally also, for gaining an experience of happiness, what we are doing is, through the objects of so-called happiness, we are creating a disposition of mind which is what we enjoy. We don't enjoy the thing, we enjoy our mind. And that becomes only instrument in creating that kind of mind. So what Vedanta teaches is, why don't you directly create that mind? By right values, etc. and attitudes, you create that mind. Then everything becomes enjoyable. You don't need a particular thing for enjoyment. If we understand this, then there is value of the values. Understand what is this mechanism of happiness. Even though conclusion is there, objects of happiness, there is no object of happiness. Object of happiness is only our mind. And a given thing becomes instrumental in creating that mind. When my punya karma fructifies that. If at that time my past punya karma fructifies, then I get that mind, then that becomes enjoyable. If my past papa karma fructifies, it can. The best thing is given in front of you. I know. Because somebody brought, I don't want it. You put it in me, insert me, I don't want it. I can get turned off. Why didn't you ask? Why did you not let me? I wanted to sit there. You asked me to sit here. I don't want. I won't eat. We have done it in the past. That's why I'm telling you. Oh, children, throw away. You gave it to my sister. You didn't give me it. I gave him something else. I don't want it. I want that one. This is better. No, I want that one only. His papa karma doesn't allow him to enjoy this, really. Throw it away. So punya papa manifests right from the childhood. Anyway, that is by the way, but the point is, so if you understand, then only Swadharma becomes important to us. Swadharma, all these actions performed on the basis of right values and attitudes, is Dharma, Swadharma. Paradharma, compromising value may appear to be attractive because it brings about some material gain. Paradharma svanusthita looks like telling a lie is very convenient in this situation. I can escape some discomfort, I can escape some embarrassment. You want to escape? If I say it true, Swami, it would be very embarrassing in front of everybody. So to avoid embarrassment, avoid humiliation, avoid being exposed, we want to retain our impression. I'm a Swami and therefore we should know who I am and I should appear that way. And so I hide within myself what is all that stuff. And when somebody pushes the button, then the conflict comes. And I take the convenient course. So, if we observe our mind, how in small things also we are compromising. It's called you are telling truth, politically correct. That's another expression. What you say must be politically right. Whether really it is morally right or not doesn't matter, politically right. Diplomatically right. There are certain norms in interacting with the people. Anyway, so I'm just pointing out how in small things we are compromising. More alert we become, more we'll understand our mind, how it is taking us for a ride. Our mind takes us for a ride, creates an attraction for something, creates an aversion for what is right, attraction for what is convenient. That's why we give up what is right and do what is convenient because of raga dveshas. So this verse follows the verse of raga dvesha. In case of Arjuna, particularly, in our case also, if Swadharma is following values and Paradharma is compromising values, then that is done because of raga dvesha. Because there is attachment for money or wealth, there where the corruption is there. Because wealth is important and honesty. Violence, because again, aversion. Somebody, I can't stand. So you hurt. So that's how all I'm already telling you what next verse is going to tell anyway. Mahashano Mahapapma, Lord Krishna says, this is a great sinner. This one also. You can call it Raga dvesha, later on you will call Kama Krodha, different ways. Or Ichcha dvesha. When Lord Krishna concluded his discourse, and still Arjuna asks a question. even though the Lord Krishna has already really answered what the question that he is going to ask. In more than one places earlier. That's what Shankaracharya this is already settled, this issue. The question that Arjuna is asking in the next verse, that issue is already settled in what Lord Krishna has said so far. But I guess Arjuna wants a clarity because different things are said in different places. So he wants a concise answer. And therefore, in the verse 36, Arjuna asks this question. Arjuna uvacha atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. So in fact, Bhashyakara had to write a long introduction to this verse to justify, what justifies Arjuna asking this question? Yadyapi anarthamulam, even though what Arjuna wants to know has already been stated. Dhyayato vishan pumsa, etc., etc. In the second chapter, Lord Krishna said how dwelling upon an object creates an attachment for that, and that creates a desire for that, and that creates anger, etc. All the processes have been described earlier. In the previous verse itself, the Raga dveshas are lodged into the mind. So, all of this is said. But then, still looks like it is said in several places. And Arjuna wants a very specific conclusion about this, so that he can be sure as to what he has to do. Arjuna is a warrior, and therefore he wants to know his enemy, and he wants to make sure that he can. But before attacking, he just wants to confirm who the enemy is. And therefore, anavadharitam yaduktam. So, what has been said, sankshiptam nishchitam cha idameva. So, Arjuna wants Lord Krishna to say that in brief and firmly, then this is what it is, in his own words. Even though Arjuna may have understood what Lord Krishna has said, he wants Lord Krishna to say. So he can be sure that what I understood is sure, because this is an important thing. And therefore Arjuna wants that confirmation from the Lord. And therefore he said this. Athakena prayuktoyam. Kena hetuna prayuktaha preritahayam purushaha. Lord Krishna earlier also said that there are those who follow this teaching of mine, and there are those who find fault with me and accuse me of having an agenda in this teaching, and therefore they violate what I am teaching. So what makes them violate? Lord Krishna is teaching you. The scriptures are teaching you. Then what more authority do you want? No. So even though Lord Krishna says that this is what you should do and should not do, and still people question that, what makes them do that? Raga dvesha, again. So there, atha kena prayuktoyam. So, kena, by what? Or kena, by what reason? So what is it that impels this person? Prayuktoyam, impelled. Kena prayuktoyam, impelled by what? Ayam purusha papam charati. The purusha, the dirgha in the pu is only for meter sake. Purusha. Otherwise the spelling should be rasva in purusha. So it's not a mistake, but it is a liberty that is taken. There is a liberty that the sages, you and I are not allowed. But sages are just chandasam, meaning that when you find that certain usage in the Vedas does not follow the rule of grammar, it is the liberty that is given to the sages. Or they can even say that grammar is still not accurate, not still conclusive or inclusive enough to include all of these usages. Otherwise, Pani would have to make thousands of more sutras to include every use. Already more than 4,000 sutras are there, which covers lots of usages in Vedas and also in the day-to-day language. But no grammar can cover everything. Therefore we say apaniniyam, this is not except. After Panini, nothing is except. Before Panini, this is all accepted because that's the liberty. So Lord Krishna Purushaha. This is not Vedic, it's Arsha. Arsha means it is the sages who are given the freedom, liberty to have that use. So, impelled by what? This Purusha, this poor common human being, an ignorant person or a non-discriminating person who doesn't have a clarity about life, he doesn't know what he's seeking in his life. Or he has a wrong understanding of what he's seeking in life. Not only no understanding, but a wrong understanding. So, it is our understanding that determines ultimately everything. If the understanding is right, then we will not necessarily be compelled by wrong forces within, because I know that is wrong. When my understanding is wrong, then I think that what my mind says is right. You see? How to determine what my mind wants me to do, whether it is right or wrong, depends upon viveka or discrimination. When I don't have that clarity, then I take what my mind says as right. Or sometimes even when I know what is right, here Arjuna's question also is that. Anichchanda vivarshaya. When a person knows what is right to do, and still the impulse is so powerful that he winds up doing wrong thing anyway. Prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Lord Krishna said, people follow their nature. What can restrain to do? That's what Arjuna is reiterating here. Anichchanda vivarshaya. Hey Varshnaya, Anichan, not wanting, against his wish. I see that I am doing something wrong and still I find myself doing it anyway. I know this Rasagulla is no good for me, but I see it. One part of mind sees and still my hands go there and they pick up and put it in my mouth anyway. Meaning that sometimes that force or compulsion of the impulse is so strong that this fellow knows, but impulsive mind disobeys. So we have two faculties. One is thinking faculty called intellect, in which there is discrimination. So basic problem is that we don't have the right understanding, so our life is guided by wrong understanding. But Arjuna is asking for that person who has the right understanding, and still that impulse is so powerful that the mind does not listen to the intellect. Intellect tries to tell, hey, come on, this is not right. I don't care. So, don't beat up your sister. This fellow beating up his sister, younger sister. Don't beat up your sister. There'll be thorns in her palm. I don't care. I will be beat up with thorns. So this is how mind works that time. I'll do it anyway. So we see in ourselves or elsewhere also, in ourselves also, I'll do it anyway. That means that the force of impulse is so strong that I cannot resist it. Anichchanda vivarshaya. O Lord Krishna, anichan, not wanting, not desiring. Even though it goes against his wish, against his understanding. His mind tells, his intellect tells him. There is a thinking faculty and an impulsive faculty. So we talk about impulsive faculty called the mind. Baladiva niyojitaha. Like a master who has a stick in his hand and he forces the servants to do things. Sometimes people are forced You know, all these slaves were just forced to do things. They didn't want it, but the punishment is right there. This British used to do that, and everywhere every people have done. There will be whip right in front of everybody. This fellow will be whipped because he just disobeyed. Similarly, there is something in my mind, this impulse, that makes me do whether it is whip or no whip. And so, baladivaniya ujitaha. Sometimes I find myself helpless against these impulses. And I do that even though I do not want to do. What is it? So what is it that forces people to conduct themselves helplessly? This was already told. Prakritim yandi bhutani, people follow their nature, and raga dvesha is their nature. But in earlier also this was mentioned, dhyato vishan pumsa, etc. So Arjuna wants a concise answer from the Lord. We'll continue in the next class. So come back in, 12:15. You have more than 20 minutes.